We're now going to study the law of cosines. Okay. Once again, this is a great formula to know, okay, because it can be used on any triangle. It does not have to be a right triangle. Let's go ahead and label this triangle capital A, B, C. And then the sides are little a, b, and c. Okay, does not have to have a right triangle anywhere. We can do a calculation, and it goes like this. A squared equals b squared plus c squared. Wait a minute, this really looks like something. Hey, isn't this the Pythagorean theorem? But that's only for right triangles. This is not a right triangle, so we're going to have to keep going here. Right? There's a little bit more to this formula. We're going to have to take off 2, and then we're going to have to multiply by b and c times the cosine of angle A. All right, and I don't want you to go home and memorize all these letters. Okay, so you start off with a side squared, and then you have those two sides squared. And whatever sides you have here are the same two sides here. However you start this, if you start with side A, it's going to end with the cosine of angle A. All right, now there's many versions. Let's just practice this again. Let's say we start with b squared. This one doesn't work. If you start with b squared, then you're going to equal a squared plus c squared. And then you have to subtract 2, these two sides here, a times c times the cosine of angle b. Okay, notice you only use one letter. So if you have angle b, then you're going to start the formula off with little side b squared. Now let's practice one more time. The only version I haven't written yet is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2, there's an a, there's a b, times the cosine of angle c. Okay, how do we know which one to use? The answer is the angle determines the formula. So if you have angle c, then you're going to start off with c squared equals. Okay, remember what solve a triangle means? It means find all the missing sides and angles that we don't know. So let's draw a triangle ABC here. ABC. And let's label all the parts that we do know so we can figure out what we're going to be going for. Okay, so what were we given? We were given side little a is 11, side little b is 5, and angle C is 20 degrees. Okay, so I know that the things we're going to have to find are side little c. So let's just make a little answer box here. We're also going to have to find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. Okay, so here is my answer box. Make sure you're organizing your work nicely. They give you 3 pieces of information. We have to find the other 3. Which one are we going to start with? Okay, well, the law of cosines needs to have all 3 sides. And we have angle 20. So I know that we're going to have to start off by using side C. The only angle that we know is 20 degrees. So you go across from that angle, and he tells you how you're going to start. Okay, so we're going to start with c squared equals. Then we're going to use the other 2 sides. You got 5 squared plus 11 squared. So don't worry about the letters so much. It's how to set up the problem. After you have this much, you're pretty much home free. It's minus 2. Give me a 5. Give me an 11. Those 2 sides. And don't forget, this is the law of cosines. So cosine of angle, we said 20 degrees. Okay? It is now calculator time. Okay, so let's see, we have c squared equals, we're going to type 5 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 5 times 11 times the cosine of 20 degrees. Okay, so c squared equals all of that. Oh, but we have to find c. So now I have to square root both sides, so square root. And then you're going to have to do answer. not 6.3 or 6.34, not just this many decimals, all the decimals beyond that. So second answer would be a great way to go, or you go up there and you grab it with your calculator with the arrow button. So C is approximately 6.53. Okay, make sure you do good rounding. And you have to go up there and grab answer. Please try this in your calculator so you know how you're going to be doing it. All right, now we've got to go for one of the angles. Does not matter which one we want to go for. I'm just going to pick angle A. So if I'm going to be going for angle A is the one I'm going for, that means I'm going to start off with side 11. You will cross from the angle, and he tells you how to start. Remember, the starting side matches with the angle. So the setup is 11 squared equals 5 squared plus, what's our other side? 6.53 squared. We're going to have to use the decimals, the decimal approximation, because you need all three sides for the law of cosines. Minus 2 times 5 times 6.53 times the cosine of angle A. All right, it is now calculator time. So what we're going to do is we're going to type 11 squared minus the 5 squared and minus 6.53 squared. Okay, so we're going to move these two things over, and that is 53.3591. Okay, I'm going to use this calculator answer here, but I'm just going to write down some stuff. And that gives me negative 2 times 5 times 6.53 times the cosine of angle A. Okay, so that's how far we got. We're trying to find angle A, so is there any more baby algebra we can do? We can go ahead and divide both sides by negative 2 times 5 times 6.53. Okay, so please take out your calculators and type along with me here. So we're going to take, maybe we should use our fraction button. Alpha y equals, and the top, the numerator is going to be that part right there. And then down here is negative 2 times 5 times 6.53. So however it is you're going to be typing this calculation, I want you to try with your calculator and see if you get the same answer that I do. So both of these cancel out, and then we've got some number here. Okay, all right, let's see what you got. I hope you got negative 0.8171 dot 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 dot. I am not going to chop that off. I'm just writing down some of the numbers, but I'm going to use the entire decimal here. How do you find an angle when you know the answer? Remember how you have to do second cosine, cosine inverse, answer, and the measure of angle A is approximately 144.80 degrees. Okay, so we know measure of angle A is 144.80. Now all three angles need to add up to 180. So at this point we're just going to do a calculation. 180 minus 20 minus the approximated 144.80. So the measure of angle B is about 15.20 degrees. And the three angles of your triangle need to add up to 180. Okay, so here's law of cosines. All right, let's do it again. We've got a triangle right here. ABC. Let's write down what we know. So we've got little a is 9, little b is 7, little c is 5. Okay, oh, so our answer box, our job for this problem is to find measure of angle A, measure of angle B, and measure of angle C. Once we find two of the angles, we can just subtract for the third one. Okay, but we are going to have to do law of cosines 2 times. Okay, which one do you want to go for first? I'm going to go for A, since I wrote down the letter A first. If you're going for angle A, we're going to start off with the number 9. 9 squared equals the other two, 5 squared plus 7 squared. That's a little too much. We're going to subtract off 2 times 5 times 7 times cosine of angle A. Okay, that's all you really need to write down on your paper. The next thing you do is find the answer. The question is, how do you type this in the calculator? So you need to subtract the 5 squared and the 7 squared. Okay, so 9 squared minus 5 squared minus 7 squared. Okay, so what do we have so far? We have something in the calculator, and then we have equals -2 times 5 times 7 times the cosine of it. You don't need to write this. The more you practice, the better you'll get. You need to take your answer, and now it's time to divide. Divide both sides by -2 times 5 times 7. -2 times 5 times 7. So that would all cancel out. Okay, so I'm going to take answer and divide by parentheses. -2 times 5 times 7. Be careful how you use parentheses. If you close them, only the 2 gets divided and the next 2 get multiplied. So please practice with your calculator. We're now at the point where we have -0.1 equals cosine of A. And how do you find an angle? Cosine inverse the answer. So the measure of angle A is about 95.74 degrees. Okay, I'm going to do a little less writing this time and see who could handle it. The next angle I'll go for is B. Angle B is across from 7. So that's how you start your formula. Okay, the only thing I really need to see is the law of cosines formula written out. 7 squared equals 5 squared plus 9 squared. At this point, you say, wait a minute, it's not a right triangle, so let's subtract 2. And then these two sides, 5 and 9, and the cosine of angle B. Okay, that's all you need to write. In your calculator, you take 7 squared, subtract 5 squared, subtract 9 squared. Take that answer and divide by all this stuff. Cosine inverse your answer. And the measure of angle B is 50.70 degrees. And when you do subtraction from 180, these three angles need to add up to 180. So angle C is 33.56 degrees. Okay, make sure you're practicing with the calculator. The next thing I'm going to do is just take a look at some triangles here. If we have a side triangle, okay, which law would we use? I always start off by saying, can I do the law of sines? Because that formula is so much easier. Sine of missing angle over 6, sine of, oh wait, there's too many missing angles. Yeah, you can't do law of sines. All right, I would have to do law of cosines then. Okay, I'm not showing you this so you can memorize it. I'm just going over different cases to see, can I do law of sines here? Sine of 70 over side x equals sine of, oh wait, that's too many variables. All right, I would have to do law of cosines here. Okay, so try sines, and if not, use your second option. Can I do law of sines here? Oh, you know what? If we know two angles, we automatically know the third. This one's 120 degrees. So could I solve for x here? Let's say I'm trying to find this side. Sine of 120 over 10. Sine of 20 degrees. Yes, this is a good time to do law of sines. I don't think you could even do law of cosines here. All right, let's see. What if we have this? What if I'm trying to find this side? Well, I know this angle right here is 120. Sine of 20 goes with 7. Sine of 40 goes with x. This would be a good time to do law of sines. Okay, what if it's an HL triangle? Can we do law of sines? Sine of 90 over 8. Sine of angle over 7. Yes, you could do law of sines. Can you do law of cosines? X squared, 7 squared, 8 squared, and the angle 90. You could even do law of cosines if you have an HL, if you have a right triangle. You know what else you could do? You could even do the Pythagorean theorem. Because it's a right triangle, you've got lots of options. In fact, because it's a right triangle, you could even do SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so if you have a right triangle, there's a lot of options. Okay, remember these triangle properties, okay, because you never want to break one of the rules. The sum of the three interior angles must always be 180. How many acute angles can a triangle have? It can have all three. 60, 60, 60 is all less than 90. How many obtuse angles can you have? Only one. So if you're ever solving a problem, one angle's 120, one angle's 160, that doesn't even make sense. How many right angles can you have? One. Okay, and here's a fun rule. The sum of two sides must be more than the third side. Okay, remember there's problems like this from geometry. What if this side was 2 and this side was 2 and this side is 10? Are the two smalls more than 10? This triangle can't even reach. Okay, I can use the law of cosines to solve a triangle. Can you?